Hey look guys, I can click from the top of the trackpad. Neat! Welcome everybody to the Apple MacBook Neo training series. I am Will, the former Apple creative genius that started this channel, and happy to be here to talk about the MacBook Neo. We have already gone through 2 training videos and now we're here on the trackpad today. So our goal is to go over this trackpad right here and discuss how to use it, some of the features that are built into it, things that you can do on the trackpad that are very unique to Apple that you probably have never done before, but can be very helpful as you go along the journey of being part of this Apple ecosystem. Definitely subscribe and look back at all of our videos. We already worked on the keyboard, did a basic introduction, and we're going to keep going down the series to focus on the trackpad. If you have come from a Mac before and you know how the trackpad works, but we used to have a feature called a Force Touch trackpad. Well, that has been removed on this exact model. Force Touch being gone has not been a hinder in my experience. I was not a Force Touch guy, so there was a mechanism built into the keyboard that if you press down a certain way, what it does is that it pops, like it does like a unique feature built into the trackpad. Well, that's missing in this case, but still, it's a wonderful experience otherwise. So if you're coming from MacBooks in the past and you don't have that feature now, you are missing out on that, but trust me, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a little bit of an adjustment. So let's now dive into this video and talk about the trackpad, and let's get started. Alright everybody, so right now what we're going to be doing is on the screen here, you are going to see me use the trackpad here on the bottom portion of the video, and on the top here you can see that my cursor's right here moving around the environment, and this is how we're going to showcase how to use the trackpad today. So first off, we're going to go into the trackpad settings because we can work around here, but we're going to do the basics right now just using a trackpad. And what we're going to do now is we're going to scroll. So by default, when you take your fingers from the bottom and you go up, it is going down the page. Very similar to an iPhone. So you can also reverse this as well if you feel like it, but naturally this just feels right where you go up is down and down is up basically on that one. And of course you can go left to side. If you go into websites, by the way, you can also swipe backwards. So if I want to go back to the other way, all I gotta do is swipe this way and it goes back. So as you can see, my fingers are going this way, left to go forwards, right to go backwards, and that's how you do it. If you want to scroll up and down, going back down on websites, you just keep going through websites and you just swipe to your right to go back, swipe to your left if you want to go forward. So now that we've gotten that feature out of the way, of course, one finger is just to move the cursor around the environment. Obviously, you click on the trackpad. There is a feature for tap to clip, which we are going to set up right now as well. So we'll go through those settings so you could tap instead of clicking, but also that you can click anywhere on the trackpad. That is a very key thing here, that you could scroll anywhere on the trackpad. It doesn't matter. It understands it. You can also press anywhere on the trackpad. So if you want to go forward on something, you just press down the trackpad. I'm going to press on the top left corner. See, it doesn't matter where I press. It is working. A lot of machines on the top portion are a little bit harder. It's almost like there's like a slant inside of the trackpad. Not in this case. Let's go over to system settings now. We're going to open that up, and on the bottom is trackpad, and now we are at the portion of the video where you can decide how to change your trackpad up. So there is educational videos right here on what it is that you're doing. So you could do your tracking speed, which will go how it'll track slower as you go across the pad, or you can speed it up really fast and you go really fast on the pad. So it really just depends on what you want to do. It says lookup and data detectors with tap with 3 fingers. So what does that mean? You go to anything, and what it does is it kind of opens and looks at, it's like a preview almost of the file. So for example, here's a movie file right here. If I just use now the feature with tap with 3 fingers, it automatically pops it open and plays it. Same thing if I go to websites. If I'm on websites and I hit 3 fingers now, remember, I'm not pressing down, I am tapping. It's giving me a preview right here. And a unique feature in Safari is I can add it to the reading list. So you could do a lot of features with 3-finger tap. So because I turned this feature on, lookup and data detectors, all you got to do is use now 3 fingers. And what it's going to do is it'll take you to that section, it'll preview it prior to going to it. So a secondary click is a right click. That's the old school way of on a mouse on a Windows environment. So if I'm on a file here and I press down with 2 fingers, what I'm now doing is getting my secondary options, open with, get info, duplicate, kind of normal things, copy, things that you normally see in a right click environment. Same thing here. If I'm in Safari and I press down with 2 fingers, I have open in a new tab. I have download link file, copy file, or copy link in this case. However, you can decide if you want to use the bottom right corner. So that's very much an old school Windows way. So now that I've made that change, if I go over here and on the bottom right corner, if I hit it, it's going to give me the right click options here. And then I just click on the left side just to get rid of it. So now the 2-finger click is not going to function. So I'm used to always having the 2 fingers on. Now there is a click bottom left corner. I guess that's great for people who are lefties or righties, but I would not get used to this at all. I've been in the Mac environment so long that I think click with 2 fingers is great. That way you can go anywhere you want. The final thing in this section is tap to click. So instead of pressing down on the pad, which I've been doing, now I can tap. So now if I just tap on it, it'll go forward. Instead of the click will still work, by the way, but you could turn on the tap feature. I find that sometimes to be a little bit just in the way, so I will turn it off in this case, but you can do that. You can also set up a Bluetooth trackpad, so if you have a remote trackpad with Apple, you can also set up a remote one on the side, because some people prefer to work on the corners here. Let's talk about scrolling and zoom. Now, what you've noticed is something called natural scrolling, where I've been going up to go down, down to go up. But you can reverse that, and I'm going to show you how I did that little trick right there. But right now I'm going to turn that off. So that means now, if I was to scroll, down goes down, and up goes up. So natural scrolling for me is just like on my iPhone, so I would never get used to it doing it any other way. So I like the way that Apple does it now, and that's how I use it on my phone. So you also have zoom in or zoom out. You pinch with 2 fingers. So if I'm on a website and I want to pinch in, I take 2 fingers and I just drag it up. And what that's doing is it's making the website larger all over. If I take my fingers and go down, it makes the website its normal size. Also, because I'm using 2 fingers inside of Safari, there's a unique feature where you can open up another tab. So there's multiple, every app has their own little functionality here. And this is the one that is in Safari, where you can switch between your tabs, especially if you have a lot of them open. So if I was to go to the plus sign and then I start Apple, we'll do 1-to-1. Here's our Apple 1-to-1 training channel. Then I go back to start page. And let's say I want to go to my website, and then I could go to the other tab and go this way. So once you have a lot of tabs open, this could be very valuable instead of trying to find it here, where you can just open this up and see like a group of your websites of all your tabs open here. So just an example of what you could do with the trackpad, but pinching is a great thing. So if you want to zoom in again and zoom out, that is where the pinching comes in. There is something called the Smart Zoom that's turned on. Double tapping with 2 fingers. How does that work? So if I'm on a website and I double tap, what it does, it takes where my arrow is and it zooms in or out of that area. So it's just a way for us to, it basically is moving around the environment. See how it's doing it? Because it knew there was an object here, it did that. But if I double tap now, see, it went back out. So it's a smart zoom that basically is smart enough to figure out where you're going and then what you're looking at, and then you double tap it, it kind of blows it up or it takes it back. And that's the idea of this area. So that is valuable, I think, for certain things, especially websites. Rotate. So if I open up something, let's open up a file, I can rotate it right here. So you just go rotate left, rotate right. I'm just taking my 2 fingers and I'm just rotating. I have to be in, my arrow has to be inside here, by the way. So it's something just to make sure you understand. And that's how you rotate. So it's kind of obvious where you're just taking your fingers and you're kind of just sliding it over. All right, so swipe between pages. We've already demonstrated that when I did before, when I went left and right. So you could change that around. What if you want it to be 3 fingers, or swipe with 2 or 3 fingers? So if you want to do 3 fingers instead, you could do that. So now I changed it to 3, and now 3 fingers is backwards and forwards instead of 2. I'm going to go back to scroll left or scroll right with 2 fingers. I like that. So you can see there's a difference, like scroll left and scroll right. They actually have different terminology for that. I don't know why. You know, I guess swiping, I guess you're not really swiping. It doesn't really work. So if I'm going on our website here and I swipe, see, it's doing the same thing. I don't know why the terminology is different. This is the way Apple does it. But basically, it's just 2 or 3 fingers. Swipe between full screen applications. So if we decide that we're going to make Safari a full screen app, we can go ahead and do that by clicking the green button now. And now it's a full screen app. Now, I could swipe backwards and forwards using 4 fingers. on here. So if I'm on my website and then I decide I need to go back here, and let's say I'm going to open up the calendar app, and then I also need to open the App Store for whatever reason, but then I need to go back to Safari, I can just swipe with 4 fingers and go back to the full screen app. And of course, if you don't want to be in the full screen app, you can exit the full screen by going to the green dot again, and you can go ahead and close it. If you wanted to go to your notification center, you just take 2 fingers and swipe to the left. You have to be on the right side. So on the right side, you would take 2 fingers and you go over here if you want to turn that feature on or off. It's on by default if you wanted to use it. So Mission Control. Now we've worked with Mission Control with the F3 key before in the previous video. If you wanted to do it on the trackpad instead, which separates all the apps on the screen, which is I'm hitting the F3 key, I could take swiping up with 3 fingers and doing the same thing. In fact, I can also get to Safari, which I made a full screen app. So in a full screen app, I could just swipe over with the 4 fingers option, but if I swipe up with 3, it now lets me choose which app I want to go to and put it to the front. And that is the idea of Mission Control, is simply just to separate the screen and show you all your apps that are open or all your windows that are open, and that you could switch between them. The final one is showing the desktop. If you could spread your thumb and 3 fingers, and what that's going to do is it's going to show you and pushes everything away to the desktop. So if I take my thumb and 3 fingers and I swipe away, here's the desktop now. So I can look around the desktop. I can even move files around. I can do the preview. So as you can see, I'm still separating them. If I go here, let me tap with 3 fingers, opens up a video file, and then if I take my thumb and 3 fingers, and I can bring it right back. So that's how you do it. Also, if you click away and you go to click on the app, it brings it back too. So the thumb, this is a good way to separate the desktop. I'm going to give you a good scenario where this works out. Let's talk about mail. So for example, if you are going to send a mail message, but your item is on the desktop, you could just go here and attach the files. But also what you could do is use Show Desktop, take this right here, and I can just drag it to the icon of mail and then just drag it right in. And then that way it's avoiding you to open up a Finder window, look around for it when it's right here on the desktop. That's just a scenario to throw out there of where you would use it. Don't think you necessarily would use it, but that's just an idea. So go through right here, because everywhere you go, if you leave your arrow on there, it's going to show you what that will do. So it shows you a diagram of what you got to do on the trackpad and then what's going to happen on this screen. So in a lot of ways, it's educational on how to do something. So I hope that was very helpful for you regarding the trackpad. If you have any other questions, of course, about the trackpad that we didn't touch on, please leave them in the comments below. We do answer them. Thank you very much, everyone. And I love every single one of you.